Hey everybody out there, so today for you guys I want to talk about the future of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. And I'm not one that usually likes to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. I don't watch it as much anymore, but I do usually watch it because the reason is when it first initially comes out with a new series, because I want to see what the new mechanics are like, how they plan to take it moving forward and things of that nature, and it's kind of fun to watch. Saying that, the reason I'm even bringing this topic up another time is because we are going to be having a new Yu-Gi-Oh anime coming out next year. Now, according to what's usually happened in the past, which usually happened if you guys are not familiar and you've only been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for maybe a year or two, what usually happens with Yu-Gi-Oh animes and how we get into a new mechanic, a new series, excuse me guys, I'm still getting over my cold, but is usually around Jump Festa, which happens right around Christmas time. I forget the exact date off the top of my head, but I think it's like the 23rd or 22nd, something around there, over in Japan, over in Asia. When Jump Festa happens, Konami usually announces a little bit about the next anime. After the last anime has ended earlier that year or that fall. And that's most likely what's going to happen at Jump Festa this coming year. We're going to hear about a new Yu-Gi-Oh anime, probably hear about the protagonist, hear a little bit about his backstory, get a couple of pictures, and that will probably be all. Come January, we may hear a little bit, in January and February, we'll probably hear a little bit about the mechanic. Most likely in January and February, we'll probably hear about this new mechanic that Konami's created. Gosh forbid, please Konami, do not make another mechanic. I don't need to teach kids how to play Yu-Gi-Oh and make it so complex. Just please don't. If you do, make it super simple. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to. I'm sick and tired of new gimmicks in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh. We have so many gimmicks. It's annoying. Like, really annoying. I'm getting to the point of just like, can we take a year off from making new mechanics? Can we just have a series on Yu-Gi-Oh and no new mechanics? I'm sorry, it's just really getting hard to explain everybody Yu-Gi-Oh. It's getting kind of complex. It's getting annoying. It's so hard to get into this game sometimes because you have to teach everybody about. There's so many intricacies, so to speak. But back on topic. So that's probably what we'll see in January. We'll hear about this new mechanic. We'll probably get a starter deck released in the OCG in March or April, or sometimes May. Sometime in those 3-month span, we'll see a new starter deck come out with the new mechanic, with some probably basic, like, remember how Deco Talker, Utopia, and things, basic pendulums we had, Time Gazer and whatnot. We'll probably get something like that, like just a basic starter deck. Oh, here's the new mechanic, go forth and play with it. That's what's going to happen. Then we'll probably see a new, come probably, for the OCG, it'll probably be in the springtime. I would think probably like in the springtime, like May or something, we'll see a new set come out for them, like with the new mechanics. The first set with said new mechanic or new support for new archetypes for this new mechanic, etc. Then what we'll see for us on our end, which is more important for you guys, I guess, is we're going to see in the TCG land, nothing's going to happen for a couple months. We won't see anything happen. We'll hear about this new mechanic. We'll see what it's doing in the OCG. We'll see what new broken combos, what old school cards become relevant. That's happened 1,000 times. Believe me, a new mechanic comes out and some random old school cards become relevant. Ooh. This has happened time and time again. But what you'll see is you'll start to see that development. And then probably in June or July, usually it always happens after Nationals, we'll get a starter deck with this new mechanic in it. So probably July, I would say, after Nationals season. I forget when Nationals is this year, but you'll probably see a starter deck come out. Then you'll see rule changes happening. Maybe they'll give us a brand new board again. Ooh, new mechanics, new boards. And then what we'll see also as well, come August, we'll have the new set with the new mechanic in it. And then we go forward into the new era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I say all this kind of like because I'm not really excited for another mechanic. I really am not. And I say this as a dual sword, I'm always happy and I'm always able to adapt to new Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics. And Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like, has done so good this past the last couple of years. Just it's evolved into this game that's really fun to play. It's not super complex. People that are getting into the game are like, oh, it's a little confusing. Oh, that's how links work, because links are very simple to understand. People play it and it's simple and they understand it because it's basic. That's why I always loved Exceeds, Synchros, and links, is because they're super basic. Oh, I have to make these stars and these attributes match. Okay, I have to make sure that I'm making 2 level 4s or 2 zombies to make it succeed. Oh, I have to make sure that my link has these proper requirements to make it. Simple, easy. It's on the card. This is how you make it. Very simple. I mean it. Pendulums kind of threw that off. Pendulums were the hardest thing to explain to people. They were just like, huh? And even to this day, it's kind of hard to explain. If you've noticed, Konami hasn't made a lot of pendulum decks. Have they? No, they haven't. Interesting to talk about that, but I've noticed that. I don't know why. It's very odd compared to other mechanics. They bring them up and up, here and there. Pendulums, I haven't seen a lot of. I mean, we've seen a couple of support. We saw Electromite, and then after that, it's kind of like Endymions, and then that's all we've seen in this current area. I mean, that could be it. That's a lot. Endymions have done a lot of stuff, but beside the point. That was a side tangent there. I'm not looking forward to a new mechanic because of the fact of the matter is, I feel that Yu-Gi-Oh is in this sweet spot right now. You have a good amount of mechanics. The Yu-Gi-Oh community, besides the current list, if you take away the current top tier decks, okay, I chop them off and then I put more top tier decks in, and after 3 months people complain about those and I take those away and then 3 more come out. People always complain about the top tier decks. It is what it is. What I'm trying to say is the fundamentals of the game, the heart and soul of the game, I feel like is in its best place. I have seen it since probably Zexal, and maybe even the Synchro era. And I really don't want to see that changed by some new mechanic putting a monkey wrench in it. Like, I remember how everything was before we had pendulums, and I always point out pendulums as a point in Yu-Gi-Oh where Konami kind of messed up. That mechanic, they've curbed it, I'll give them credit, but when it came out, people were like, this is not going to be good. This is a little, and I remember trying to teach people pendulums when they came out, and it took me, personally, probably 2 to 3 sets in to fully understand how you could utilize pendulums. It was because the fact that if I looked at a pendulum card, I don't have one on me at the moment, it had a wall of text. Like, I don't mind reading a wall of text. This is just a random card I have on my desk. If it's on one card, okay? Like, I understand that. But when you have pendulums, it was just like, okay, if it's a spell card, it does this. If it's a monster, you do that. It's simple in theory, but in execution, it was not so good. And I'm afraid we may get something like that later down the road next year. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'm not scared of a new mechanic. I'm just hesitant. I am optimistically cautious. I think that's how we could put it, right? Yeah, optimistically cautious of a new mechanic. I look forward to it, but I'm scared that it may not be a good thing for the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has developed, I feel like right now, to be one of the most top-tier trading card games in the world. Granted, my area does not have a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players currently because there's no card stops to play, but I won't take that away from the rest of the country, the rest of the world, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is growing. We look at events attendance, we see its popularity. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I have not heard Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying at all this year. I haven't heard from anyone. Not a video made, not a person saying it. And besides my current area where there's no Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently, I haven't heard that saying uttered. And that speaks volumes to Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, and the growth of the game, and the health of the game. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future with Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know what this new mechanic is going to do. I feel like it could be a bunch of different things that they could pursue for mechanic-wise. A deck master type of thing. Maybe kind of having pendulum trap monsters. I don't want that, but that's possible. There's so many different possibilities. Nobody, I can say, foresaw links happening. And I'm not going to go guessing here and saying, oh, it's going to be this type of mechanic and that type of mechanic. I can suggest things, but we don't know. Nobody saw links coming. No one did, I don't think. And, you know, how they would change the fundamentals of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And how when it first came out, we were kind of skeptical, very skeptical, and how it's evolved into this, like, yeah, it's easy to understand, it's simple. And when you get to this point, it's nice and healthy in the game, and then you throw something into it, like, hey, here's another mechanic. It's like, dude, just lay off. We're good. We don't need any more. And that's how I feel. But I'm cautiously optimistic about what the future of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be like, and this new mechanic we'll get next year. Anime-wise, I'll mention this before I wrap this video up, I would love to see some connections to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! I would love to see something that involves sort of along the lines of possibly a connection to maybe 5D's GX, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. Just seeing like maybe, I don't know, just have other characters in it, kind of like what they did with GX, and kind of where you saw some of the past of Domino City, even though Yugi wasn't around, or Jaden wasn't around, but kind of like I want to see some connections to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. With Zexal and Arc 5, yeah, Arc 5 we saw, you know, different people from different Yu-Gi-Oh! Parts of Yu-Gi-Oh! Time travel, you know, not time traveling, but like dimension hopping, excuse me. And we saw different characters, but they were different people altogether to some extent. Yeah, they still had some of their characteristics, but they were different people. And I'm just kind of interested to see what the next arc, you know, how they're going to take the next anime. But I would love to see some tie-ins to the old school version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I feel like going forward, though, with whatever the new mechanic is, it's going to have to really work and incorporate links, because links have fundamentally changed the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are just my thoughts. You can't move links, the link zone. You can't. You can't do this with that. You can't do that with that. So, what are you going to create, Konami? I'm curious to see. Maybe another extra deck mechanic. Maybe a main deck monster like what they did with pendulums. I think there's more options in the main deck they could do. And I think they may go down that route, but we will have to wait and see. But tell me your thoughts down below. What do you think the new mechanic is going to be like? Are you looking forward to it? And tell me your thoughts down below. And until next time, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling. And I'll see all of you guys next time. Take care, everybody.